It's that time of the year again where people are getting released from WWE and we're acting like it's some kind of huge tragedy. Like it's, a church bombing or a school shooting or something like that, when in reality, it's just some wrestlers having to find new jobs. It'll be okay. Everybody will survive. There's going to be a lot of tears and flower bringing for no good reason. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about SmackDown. But first, the news and notes. And the big news, of course, is that there have been WWE releases, both main roster and NXT. Quite a few of them have been NXT, but a lot of them have been main roster as of right now, which is May 2nd, 11:30 at night. We're going to discuss the 13 releases. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more people released over the weekend. There's a lot of really sad videos and heartbreak tweets going out as I speak. And because people are jumping the gun, there's no idea who has been released and who's going to be released by the time I finish this video. So we're just going to focus on the 13 that have been released so far. So let's get into it. Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Cora Jade, Eddie Thorp, Gigi Dolan, Riley Osborne, Jakara Jackson, Wolfgang, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Oral Mensa, Javier Bernal, and it is rumored that Luca Crucifino will also be released. Luca Crucifino has not been confirmed yet, but the rest of them are pretty much confirmed. Let's get the tenured players out first. I have been railing on this channel against quite a few of these people for a while now. One of them being Shayna Baszler and Dakota Kai. These two people, they have been around for a really, really, really long time. A really long time. Both of them are aged in terms of being older talent. I don't think Shayna Baszler has really panned out on the main roster at all, period. I don't really think she was even that great in NXT. I think it was mostly the push. And to me, Shayna Baszler, it's fine, but there's no flash there with her character. It was just, she's an MMA fighter and she wears a black jacket and sometimes she wears a mouthpiece. You just didn't see any charisma. You didn't see any personality. And then the moment Ronda Rousey came in, she faded to black. So I don't know, what Ronda Rousey wrestled for like 3 or 4 years in WWE, for that entire time until the very, very end, where they worked as a tag team and then went against each other a couple of times, there was really no use for Shayna Baszler. She was kind of an additive character. And it was the same thing with the rest of the MMA 4 horsewomen, where outside of Ronda, what purpose did they really serve? In terms of big moments, I think she had a really big debut when she bit the shit out of Becky Lynch when she first started, which led everybody to think she has a vampire gimmick because she bit somebody. She was a vampire, which is crazy because she never drank any blood. She didn't, have a chalice. She didn't have like rings of fire or anything like that. There was nothing about her that said that she was a vampire outside of, well, Meltzer said she was a vampire and she bit somebody, which, could have been just she's vicious, kind of like Mike Tyson or something like that. But no, it's got to be she was a vampire. It's like, okay, point to the vampire lore that Shayna Baszler had in this character. There was none. It might have been cooler if she was a goddamn vampire. Might explain, but hell, vampires have charisma. Shayna Baszler doesn't have any. So, but I'm not going to lose any sleep about Shayna Baszler being released. It is what it is. It's the right thing to do. She had been around for, I think, almost 10 years, if not longer. You weren't going to get any more juice out of this lemon. It was over. Dakota Kai. The Dakota Kai fandom is rabid and ferocious, and they like her as a person. But there is absolutely nothing there for Dakota Kai. She could be the sweetest, most environmentally friendly human being that walked the earth. She is not fit to be a WWE superstar. She cannot talk. Her wrestling isn't good enough. I have been railing against Dakota Kai since she was in NXT. She's skinny, and she's not great at anything specifically. Like she's like really like the best seller in the world. She's like she's cutting like the best promos in the world. It's like, no, you just like her as a person, which is separate from her being a really good talent. And she's been, of course, quite terrible the last couple of years because she's been in and out of the ring with injuries. WWE was right to get rid of this. Was one of the most justified cuts in a long time. You had to do this one. This one was necessary. She had to go. Braun Strowman. It's the second time they fired Braun Strowman. When it comes to Braun Strowman, I mean, he's a big dude, but his mobility has really suffered. I think he did a really great job with Bronson Reed, and he did a really great job with Jacob Fatu, getting those guys over. But if the rumor that WWE is bringing in Jeff Cobb, well, they don't need Braun Strowman. Jeff Cobb's not a 6'8" former bodybuilder. You know, you can't replace that. But he's a squat dude who's strong, and you could put him in those big brawling situations. And while he wouldn't tower over anybody, he fits the sort of brawling mentality that you kind of want. And that's something that Braun Strowman can bring, but he has such a unique size, and it was always striking. But this one doesn't concern me as much as the first time he was released. This time, his age was actually showing. He could barely run. He could barely move. This feels like a mercy killing when it comes to Braun Strowman. I'm sure you could have found something else for him to do. He could have been a good ambassador or something like that. Yeah, but also you got injured guys doing that already. So Braun Strowman getting cut, I mean, not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. KC Squared, Caden Carter, who I believe was Lacey Lane, and Katana Chance, who was Casey Catanzaro. This led to a lot of discussion about the women's tag team division, and what about the women's tag team division, where you're getting rid of one of the only pure tag teams in the division, where, you know, as a solo act, neither one of them really got a chance. And they really didn't even get a chance as a tag team. But when they did some really good combo moves. And, you know, people who like women's wrestling were like huge fans of them. Or kind of. Here's the thing. The crowds, neither in NXT or in WWE main roster, really attached themselves to the KC Squared idea. The rave party girls, it didn't really click. And then it's not like either one of them were great talkers. It was not like either one of them had tremendous physical charisma. I mean, Lacey Lane was a beautiful girl. I mean, she is, and she's a knockout. But you're also talking about two very small women. And yes, when you have a company full of Alexa Blisses and Liv Morgans and Zelina Vegas, it shouldn't be too bad. But they really don't have much value in terms of promo or character. So I'm okay with these cuts. These cuts are justified. You know, I wish they could have gotten a chance. I'm pretty sure Casey Catanzaro is one of the most athletic people ever signed by WWE. I mean, she's a super athlete, but unfortunately, that's all she is. She can go to AEW or TNA or something and probably make a mint off of just doing athletic stuff. You know, just spots and flips and things. Because I'm pretty sure she is really good at that. Then we got Riley Osborne. This was the guy, he debuted as a member of Chase University. He never really got off the ground, so I really don't see anything of value lost for Riley Osborne. Not much. He was athletic, but not much in the way of personality, not much in the way of charisma, not a lot of experience. go get some experience, and I'll see you in a couple of years. Or you may just end up like, what was that? Evan Bourne. What was his real name? Doesn't matter. So, okay. Now let's get to Cora Jade. Now, Cora Jade is a justified cut because she has been terrible since her return from injury. She has obviously slowed down. She's also carrying more weight in the chest than she ever had before. And they sent her over to TNA to be, and then to work over there. It was the same thing with Gigi Dolan, where it seemed like that was sort of the last straw. Like, if we can't send you over there and get you to improve or get you to show some fire or some passion, we just can't do anything with you anymore. I think both of them peaked at some point. I think both of them are justified cuts. You know, Gigi Dolan has been around for a really long time. It's been since 2019, I think. So you're talking about 6 years or so for both of them. I think 2020 maybe for Cora Jade. I think the ceiling for Cora Jade was higher because she was younger and they were expecting more from her. But the injury set her back and she started working hurt. Confidence got damaged. She started becoming more into her appearance and tried to lean more into the character, which is like, yeah, that's 1999 Randy Savage stuff. Now, you're like 26. You know, like you're like 25 or 26 years old and you're like becoming 99 Macho Man already, where it's like all look and gimmick and character. And that's fine, but you need to be able to move. And we just weren't seeing it in Cora Jade. And we should have gotten the picture when it comes to Cora Jade being released, when she was replaced in the tag team with Roxanne Perez, and there was no real good reason why it was done. The off again, on again feud between the two should have told us right then and there that something was up. Gigi Dolan was being used right up until the point of her release. She was, again, working in TNA. She was tag teaming with Tatum Paxley. They tag teamed recently on TV. Usually people who are in storylines don't get cut. But in this time, they did. And it's questionable whether Shotzi is also going to be cut. So, who knows? Maybe 2/3 of Chemical X has been cut. But Gigi Dolan is gone, and I think it's a justified cut. She hasn't really improved in terms of personality, in terms of character, in terms of promo. I think she's peaked as a wrestler. To me, it seems like a lot of women want to be wrestlers. They just don't. They don't have the natural athleticism, and I think Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan are two of those women. You know, they look nice. They have great assets. You know, but when it comes to being professional wrestlers, I just don't see it. And Gigi Dolan, of course, was, before she came to WWE, she was mostly known for doing a tampon spot on the indies. She wasn't known for going out there and having classic matches, you know. So I don't know, but I like both of the cuts. I think both cuts are justified. Then we got Gallas. That would be Wolfgang, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, justified cut. Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, Wolfgang have been around since NXT UK, which is like 2017, 2018 or something like that. They managed to survive over there without really achieving much of anything. I think they became the tag team champions. They became the tag team champions in NXT proper, but they never really got momentum. Crowd never really cared about them. Then they got moved down to Evolve, and that was pretty much the death knell for these guys. They're a little too old, and if anything, they would have been player coaches in an Evolve. But I just don't see the value in these guys anymore. You know, like, they're tough brawler guys, which would have been nice, you know, to bring them up to feud with, you know, Sheamus, and when they had the Brawling Brutes. Remember the Brawling Brutes? It'd have been nice if we could put, Gallas against them. That would have been a dope feud. Probably would have got everybody on the map, but then around that time, Triple H took over and fun was out. There is no such thing as fun anymore. So Gallus is justified cuts. There's nothing special about the Coffee Brothers or Wolfgang. They're just sort of generic. I thought they might have been protected because they trained with The Rock, but that also could be why they got cut. Who knows? All right. Let's talk about the one that probably bothers me the most, which is Jakara Jackson. On NXT, when they broke up the Metaphor, I talked, extensively about what the hell is going on. Why would you do this to Jakara? Because I kind of figured she would flounder by herself. Why you would cut her while she's in a tag team that works doesn't make sense to me. I figured, okay, they'll just give her a new tag team partner because you want Lash Legend by herself, which, could work. But Jakara has a look. She has charisma. She doesn't really talk that much, so we don't know what she can do in terms of talking. But she was the one person I don't think they maxed out. Like, I don't think, like, Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan, I think we maxed out what they could do. Lacey Lane, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter is Lacey Lane, and Casey Catanzaro, who is Katana Chance. I think we maxed out what they can do. Maybe there was some room for improvement there in terms of the creative and things, but for the most part, we've seen everything that they can do. I'm not sure we saw everything out of Jakara Jackson. She seemed to be improving every time we saw her. She was a heel her entire run. I think there was a short time there where I guess the Meta Girls were baby faces. I liked her working with Lash Legend. I thought that was a great team. I thought she took good bumps. I think Jakara is a miss. I don't think this is a justified cut. She hasn't been around that long. It's been less than 5 years. She doesn't seem like she wants to quit wrestling. She seems like she wants to stay in the business. So who knows? She may be one of those people who gets cut 2-3 years later. She gets some experience. She comes back. But this is the first non-justified cut, I think, that you can think of is Jakara Jackson. All right, next we got Eddie Thorp, justified cut. He was trained in the New Japan dojo. Just doesn't connect with the audience. The DJ character, the Native American character, none of that stuff worked. Decent in-ring worker, but he was boring. And he bored people to death. Nobody really seemed to care about him. Remember, this is a guy who was working top flight feuds with Trick Williams not too long ago and fell off a cliff immediately afterwards. It seemed like they might be using him for an opponent for Ricky Saints, but now they decided to get rid of him. I mean, them was the breaks. He left the New Japan dojo to come to WWE. He could always just go back. I mean, New Japan's dying anyway, so maybe he'll find a spot in Ring of Honor or he'll find a spot in AEW. Because if you worked in Japan, automatically you're a hooper, because that's all people care about in that era is, whether you can do spots and shit. Over in WWE, you got to do a little bit more than that. And I don't think Eddie Thorpe really found the character. I don't think he found his voice. Maybe he was uncomfortable with the creative. Who knows? But he hung. They spent the last couple of months trying to do something with him. They even put him in an angle with Shawn Michaels, and it worked for a little bit. But you realize that he was only as over as he was because he was working with Trick Williams. As soon as they took him away from Trick, it went down again, and that was it. I think it's a justified cut. I just didn't see anything in DJ Tatanka, and there's no point to it. All right, big body Javier Bernal. He had been around for a while too. Of course, he suffered a lot of injuries. Justified cut. He never really even became a regular on NXT, and he's been at NXT for a long time. I just don't know how much more time you could put into a guy like a Javier Bernal. Oro Mensa. I can't justify this one because, yes, he is sort of generic, This guy was saved from the NXT UK plunder when that whole thing imploded. They brought him over from the NXT UK. He reminds me a lot of Wes Lee. It's that Wes Lee has had a serious back injury, and to me that feels like a reason why you would have kept Oro Mensa, because and just in case somebody like Wes Lee goes down and he can't get back up, you will have another guy to fill that sort of role of the bouncy, athletic black dude. I think he found himself with the metaphor, and I'm kind of sick that of the metaphor they kept Noam Dar and Lash Legend, but got rid of Jakara Jackson and Oro Mensa, who were probably are the two people who had pretty decent ceilings. I think everybody realizes that Lash Legend is the star of the group, but not giving Oro Mensa much of a chance is pretty sad. But what else can you do? If Luca Crucifino is announced as being cut, I think that's also not a justified cut, because I watched his matches on Evolve, his match on Evolve, and I think he was pretty good, and I think he was pretty good in those tag team matches with Stax as well. I just don't see why you would cut him. He seemed to be a decent promo. He seemed to work his character really well in terms of being the lawyer, the legal type, the consigliere. And you also had main roster potential, as Chelsea Green was working with his character sometimes on Twitter, where he would send out legal notes for her and stuff like this. That was good stuff, and I think it was useful stuff, and I think it could have had some legs to it. So it just seems to me like this one, I don't know if this one was justified. Now, a lot of the people are claiming that they're firing all these women, it's unfair. It's like, well, if you look at NXT, there's tons of women looking to get on the roster. They're constantly bringing in new women. There's Evolve is like mostly women. There's a bottleneck. Getting rid of people who've been around for a really long time seems to be the most intelligent move. People who have constantly been injured, people who haven't been on TV, people who haven't been doing much of anything. Yeah, sure, get rid of them. And obviously there's going to be people who are very frustrated because their favorite got cut and their not so favorite didn't get cut. A lot of people really wishing death on Nikita Lyons at this point, and found out that not only is she not getting fired, she got sent to Evolve, and she's being sent to TNA. But to me, that seems like it's the similar road that Cora, Jade, and Gigi Dolan was on, where that's what they did with them. They sent them to TNA for a spell just to, get them in front of another audience. And if it doesn't work, you'll probably see Big Cat Kita being released too. I don't put it past anybody. And then who the hell knows what's going to happen over the weekend. Now, looking at the roster of people who are released, TNA needs new blood. I think that most of these people should consider going to TNA. Of the people who probably should go to AEW, or the AEW should look at, probably only the New Japan guy, Eddie Thorp. What's his name? Carl Fredericks or whatever. Only because they already like that style. And maybe Dakota Kai, because again, she's beloved among the internet types. But pretty much everybody else should really just consider going to TNA. Also, you're pretty sure that all the women that's going to start OnlyFans accounts. I mean, that's pretty much what they all do anyway. Just monetize the simps. I'm pretty sure Cora Jade is going to make a ton of money on OnlyFans when she boots that joint up. She's got 30 days or whatever to get it together. Professional photographs, lingerie, whole 9 yards. I mean, that's what happened with Blair Davenport. The moment she got fired, right near her 90 days, it was like, oh yeah, here comes my OnlyFans. So Gigi Dolan and Cora Jade, you're concerned about them? Why would you be concerned? They're about to make money hand over fist showing tits and ass on OnlyFans. And I mean, that's how it works. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be more releases over the weekend. I guess we'll return to this subject then. But for now, the releases are covered.